Hi guys, I'm Rijesh and welcome back. Today we'll be discussing about life processes. This is first chapter from the biology section. So let us begin life processes. Guys, the most important criteria to decide whether something is alive or not is the movement. Movement is one of the most important signs of life in an organism. All the living things which are alive move by themselves without any external help. For example, the movements in most of the animals are fast and can be observed easily, but the movement in plants are usually slow and observed with difficulty. Animals can move from one place to another or they can move their body parts. The plants are fixed in the soil at a place, so they cannot move like animals from place to place. The plants can only move parts of their body, such as leaves, flowers, shoots, and roots. Non-living things which are not alive cannot move by themselves. All the living things which are alive have some common characteristics which make them different from non-living things. And such characteristics of living things are of living things can move by themselves, they need food, air and water, they can grow, living things can respond to changes around them, they are sensitive, living things respire, living things excrete, living things can reproduce. What are life processes? All the organisms perform some basic functions to keep themselves alive. The basic functions performed by living organisms to maintain their life on this earth are called life processes. The basic life processes common to all the living organisms are nutrition and respiration, transport and excretion, control and coordination. This control and coordination means response to stimuli. This part will be understanding in the future coming chapters. So till then, be patient. Growth, movement, and reproduction. Okay, these are all basic life processes. The process of nutrition involves the taking of food inside the body and converting it into smaller molecules, which can be absorbed by the body. Respiration is a process which releases energy from the food absorbed by the body. Okay, transport is a process in which a substance absorbed or made in one part of the body is moved to other part of the body. Excretion is a process in which waste materials produced are removed from the body. Coordination and control is a process which helps the living organism to survive in the changing environment around them. The process of growth involves the change from a small organism to big organism. In movement, the organisms either move from one place to another or moves its body part, rest remains at the same place. The process of reproduction involves the making of more organisms from the existing ones. Okay. Now the energy for the life processes. So where does this energy come? All the living organisms need energy to perform various life processes. This is true. Okay. They get this energy from food. Even this is true. Food is a kind of fuel which provides energy to all the living organisms. The living organisms use the chemical energy for carrying out various life processes. They get this chemical energy from food through chemical reactions. Actually, living organisms continuously need energy for their various life processes and other activities which they perform. For example, energy is required by an organism even during sleep. This is because when we sleep, a number of biological processes keep on running in the body. Our heart beats non-stop even when we are deep asleep to pump blood throughout the body. And this beating of heart requires energy. Thus, the working of heart requires a continuous supply of energy. So, this energy required by an organism comes from the food that the organism eats. Thus, food is the basic requirement of all the living organisms for obtaining energy. In this chapter, we will study the process of intake and utilization of the food by an organism called nutrition and the liberation of energy from the food called as respiration. So let us start with the nutrition. The process of taking in food and utilizing it is called nutrition. It is a process in which food is obtained in order to utilize it to provide energy for performing various metabolic activities of the organisms. Actually, the term nutrition comes from the word nutrient. A nutrient is an organic or inorganic substance required for the maintenance of life and survival of a living organism. A nutrient can be defined as a substance which an organism obtains from its surroundings and uses it as a source of energy or for the biosynthesis of its body constituents like tissue and organs. For example, carbohydrates and fats are the nutrients. Proteins and mineral salts are nutrients. Okay, so this nutrients used by an organism for the biosynthesis of body constituents of its body constituents like skin, blood, etc. Okay, so the food taken in by an organism contains a large number of nutrients like carbohydrate, fat, proteins, minerals, vitamins, water, etc. So we can now say that nutrition is a process of intake of nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and water by an organism, as well as utilization of these nutrients by the organism. Modes of nutrition. Modes of nutrition means method of procuring food or obtaining food by an organism. Depending on the mode of obtaining food, all the organisms can be classified into two groups: autotrophs and heterotrophic. Like autotrophs and heterotrophs. So there are mainly two modes of nutrition. First, autotrophic and heterotrophic. So we'll see autotrophic mode of nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition is that mode of nutrition in which an organism make its own food from simple inorganic materials like carbon dioxide and water present in the surroundings with the help of sunlight. The green plants have an autotrophic mode of nutrition. The autotrophic bacteria also obtain their food by the autotrophic mode of nutrition. The organisms having autotrophic mode of nutrition are called autotrophic organisms or just autotrophs. So those organisms which can make their own food from carbon dioxide and water are called autotrophs. All the green plants are autotrophs because they make their own food from carbon dioxide and water present in the environment. Non-green plants are, however, not autotrophs. Certain bacteria are called autotrophic bacteria. The autotrophic organism contain the green pigment called chlorophyll, which is capable of trapping sunlight energy. This trapped sunlight energy is utilized by the autotrophs to make food by combining inorganic materials like carbon dioxide and water present in the environment by the process of photosynthesis. Thus, autotrophs make their own food by photosynthesis. So, autotrophs are producers of food. The food produced by autotrophs are used by human beings and many other organisms and animals. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition is that mode of nutrition in which an organism cannot make its own food from simple inorganic materials like carbon dioxide and water, and depends on other organisms for its food. Heterotrophic organisms has to eat other organisms for its nutrition. All the animals have a heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Most bacteria and fungi also have a heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So those organisms which cannot make their own food from carbon dioxide and water and depend on other organisms for their food are called heterotrophs. The non-green plants like yeast are also heterotrophs. The heterotrophic mode of nutrition is of three types. First is saprotrophic nutrition. Second is parasitic nutrition. Third is halowoic nutrition. We'll see to it one by one. First, we'll see saprotrophic nutrition. We can also call this as saprophytic nutrition. So, saprotrophic nutrition is that nutrition in which an organism obtains its food from decaying organic matter of dead plants, dead animals, and rotten bread. Sapro means rotten. So, a saprotrophic organism draws its food from rotten wood of dead and decaying trees, rotten leaves, dead animals, and household waste like rotten bread. The organisms having saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called saprophytes. So, saprophytes are the organisms which obtain their food from dead plants, dead and decaying animal bodies, and other organic matter. Fungi like bread molds, mushroom, yeast and many bacteria are saprophytes. The saprophytes break down the complex organic molecules present in dead and decaying matter and convert them into simpler substances outside their body. These simpler substances are then absorbed by saprophytes as their food. So, the saprotrophic nutrition is also known as saprophytic nutrition. Let us understand what is parasitic nutrition. The parasitic nutrition is that nutrition in which an organism derives its food from the body of another living organism without killing it. The organism which obtains the food is called a parasite, and the organism from whose body food is obtained is called the host. A parasite is an organism which feeds on another living organism called its host. The host may be a plant or animal. Most of the diseases which affect mankind, his domestic animals, and his crops are caused by parasites. Parasitic mode of nutrition is observed in several fungi, bacteria, a few plants like cuscuta, and some animals like plasmodium and roundworms. Thus, the microorganism like plasmodium, which causes malaria disease, is a parasite. A roundworm, which causes diseases in man and domestic animals like dogs and cattle, is also a parasite. Roundworms live inside the body of man and his domestic animals. Several fungi and bacteria and plants like cuscuta are also parasites. Some other examples of parasites are ticks, lice, leeches, and tapeworms. Halowoic nutrition. Halowoic nutrition means feeding on solid food. The solid food may be a plant product or an animal product. So most of the animals, including human beings, take the solid food into their body by the process of ingestion. This ingested food is then digested and broken down into simpler substances which are then absorbed into the cells of the body. Also, the undigested and unabsorbed waste materials are ingested, that is thrown out of the body. So we can now say that the halowoic nutrition is that nutrition in which an organism takes the complex organic food materials into its body by the process of ingestion. The ingested food is digested and then absorbed into the body cells of the organisms. The undigested food and unabsorbed part of the food is thrown out of the body of the organism by the process of digestion. The human beings and most of the animals have halowoic mode of nutrition. In other words, man, cat, dog, cattle, deer, tiger, lion, bear, giraffe, frog, fish, and amoeba have the halowoic mode of nutrition.